As never before, the genocide in Gaza has thrown up the reality there exists a blatant bias within the BBC and other news organisations in the West towards Israel, or at least, let's just say, a reluctance to report impartially on the conflict for fear of angering that nation or those within this government, such as Starmer, who appear to be in Israel's pocket. Now, this was proved beyond doubt this week when Starmer decided to intervene when Aston Villa and the city's safety advisory group in the city decided to ban fans from the Israeli Tel Aviv Macabi, I think it is, football club from attending the Europa League fixture or something. I'm not good with soccer. The West Midlands Police, they explained their reasons for banning the supporters by classifying the fixture as being high risk following violent clashes and hate crime offences when the team played in Amsterdam in November 2024. But hold on, I hear you say, I can hear it through the screen. Hold on, Jake. Sure, weren't it the Macabi fans were the ones that were attacked by rabid Arabs in that incident? You would think so, if you'd believed what was fed to you on most news channels at the time. Here's an explanation, a truthful explanation of how that was achieved from the always excellent Double Down News.
So the violence around the Macabi Tel Aviv Ajax Amsterdam game has been sort of universally portrayed around the world as being an anti-Semitic pogrom. In fact, what it is an absolutely case study, a textbook study in disinformation. Now, let's make our focus here a very specific bit of footage. If you watch certainly the initial reports from the BBC, The Guardian, CNN and other outlets, they all rely very heavily on a specific bit of footage of individuals in the street being attacked by a mob of hooded men.
Crowds of people assaulted Israeli fans after Thursday night's match.
Israel said that Israeli supporters were attacked in a very violent incident as they left the ground.
Vicious attacks upon people purely because they're Israelis and Jews.
This was continuously used to illustrate the violence that Macabi Tel Aviv supporters had suffered. The Times of India even went so far as to refer to it as Israeli nationals abducted in Hamas-style attack. Now, that footage was shot by a local citizen journalist called Annette de Graaf, who I've spoken to quite a bit over the last few days. Her footage does not show Israeli fans being attacked at all. In fact, it shows the precise opposite. The mobs of hooded figures we see in that footage are Macabi Tel Aviv fans. If you look very carefully at Annette's footage, you can see that a number of individuals are wearing blue and yellow, which are the Maccabi colours. The people they are attacking are individual Dutch citizens. Annette goes online, actually says, no, hang on. The footage doesn't show that. It shows the exact opposite. She is ignored. She starts having to interact with various news agencies, pleading with them to change the way they are using her own footage. Firstly, Reuters, terribly important because Reuters provides footage to other news organisations around the world. With the footage, what Reuters distributes is a thing called a dope sheet. This is a basic explanation to their clients of what they're looking at, what this footage is. Now, Annette spoke to Reuters at enormous length very early in the morning on the Friday, the day after the violence, and explained to them, gave them chapter and verse, told them exactly what this was. The following evening, they rang back. They clearly weren't terribly satisfied with this and quizzed her again. And she was absolutely emphatic. The people committing the violence here are Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. Now, I've obtained a copy of the Reuters dope sheet for this one. It begins, clashes broke out outside Amsterdam Central Station in the early hours of Friday, November the 8th, in what Israeli authorities said was an attack targeting Israeli citizens. Their opening line, despite what Anna has told them, continues to frame it with the Maccabi fans as being the victims here. It then does address what Annette had told them. An eyewitness at the scene claims these people are fans of Maccabi Tel Aviv. However, Reuters cannot independently verify this claim. Now, that is quite extraordinary. She's not an eyewitness at the scene. She is the originator of the material. And she's not guessing. She had been following this mob of hooligans for a quarter of an hour. She knows damn well who they are. So what they've done here is an absolute classic bit of obfuscation. They've got a bit of footage that they're distributing to the world's media, which shows Israeli football hooligans attacking Dutch citizens, and they are presenting it to the world's media as, hey, who knows? It could be this, it could be that. Even more astonishing example of this totally dishonest obfuscation is Sky News. Annette does a live interview on Sky News on the Friday evening. She tells me she was absolutely crystal clear about it. She made it very clear to them. What they were looking at was hooliganism by Israeli football fans. The next morning, something very interesting happens. A woman called Alice Porter, a reporter for Sky News, produces a very unusual report. It absolutely stands out from all the other reporting, not because it's an exceptional bit of journalism, it's a bog standard bit of journalism. It's an accurate description of what had happened in Amsterdam. And within hours, it was taken down, and Sky re-edited it and put it up again with a note saying the previous version did not meet their standards for balance and impartiality. And the most striking bit is they continue to use Annette's footage. In her original piece, Alice Porter had said,
Macabi fans were seen attacking locals as a police car can be seen driving by.
By the time you get to the re-edited version, that script line has become,
A video posted on social media shows a large group of hooded men dressed in black running down the street and striking people at random.
What has happened there, Sky News, who know perfectly well what this footage shows and had originally accurately reported it, is now pretending that it doesn't know, basically.
Indeed, if more proof were needed about the racist and far-right attitude of the Macabi fans, there is a mountain of evidence sitting online for people to view for themselves. Here's just a small snippet of the racist bile these far-right thugs spout out when they travel away from home. Of course, this is nothing new. In around 17 years ago, after yet another Israeli attack on the Palestinians, the BBC refused at that time, believe it or not, they refused to allow any mention of an appeal for aid to Gaza. The same argument used then is still being used now, that the BBC must remain impartial in its reporting. Of course, we now realise this actually is shorthand for we will only report what Israeli wants us to report. Thankfully, just when it appeared they'd get away with this travesty, a hero appeared in the shape of the late and great Tony Benn. Now, for those of you who may not know it, our present Secretary of State, Hilary Benn, is the son of Tony Benn. Tony Benn was an amazing man. Born into the aristocracy, he inherited from his father the title of Viscount Stansgate, I think it was, right? And but when the Peerage Act, which for the first time allowed peers of the realm to give up their titles for life, became law shortly after 6 p.m. on the 31st of July, 63, Benn was the first one in line to renounce his title, which he did at 6:22, just 22 minutes after the law became a law. He went on to hold high office all through the 60s and 70s in the Labour Party, missing out on a top job maybe once or twice. But right until the end, Benn had a burning hatred of lies, deceit and cowardice. This he proved in spades when asked onto the BBC to comment on what was going on in Gaza, and he took it upon himself to give out the address of the emergency appeal for Gaza live on air.
BBC won't broadcast the appeal. I'm going to do it myself. Anyone who wants to contribute, I'm going to do that. And I'm sorry, you're not going to stop me. You're not going to stop me. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. The Disaster Emergency Committee Gaza Crisis is available at P.O. Box 999, London, EC3A 3AA. And I know from the BBC, because I've been here most of the morning, nobody here agrees with what the BBC have done. 1,330 people have been killed, 460 children, 5,480 casualties, and the reason the BBC have done it is very simple. The Israeli government objected.
Well, the BBC would disagree with you, and you did hear the line from management there that it's a question of raising impartiality. The public will be concerned.
What a guy. What a guy.